evening, friends. Uh, at the outset, first of all, thank you very much for joining this webinar. Um, the moment I launched a promo for this one, I got a lot of messages. I got a lot of messages even beforehand, which was the instigating factor as to do something on this topic. And once I did launch, I got a lot of messages, calls saying this is really important. Um I was, quite frankly, I was a little overwhelmed and overwhelmed only because the importance that I thought this topic has, those calls made me think this is all the more important. That's why I went to the drawing board, I went to the research board again and came up with some new and genuine stuff. So I've tried to put in whatever I can around this subject. The idea is I'll speak with you all for around 30 to 40 minutes. In that time, I would request you all to keep your video shut and mute yourself. And towards the end, we'll have a discussion which will be interactive. Yeah, at that time, once you have a question, you can unmute yourself and we can all talk. Internet connectivity is a problem, honestly, right now because of the storm or whatever. So just in case if there is some part that goes awry, please don't worry. I'm going to put a recording of this on YouTube later on my channel, and I'll send you all the link also. So just in case if you all miss something, don't worry. Stay put because we will need a interaction towards the end, right? So don't just rely on that video. Okay. I will start. Yes. Firstly, for the ones who don't know us, our company is Aacharan Consulting. What we basically do is we help our clients maximize their potential and stand out from the competition. How we do it is through bringing about a measurable impact when it comes to people, processes, and profit. We operate in these three areas of businesses. We are based out of Pune and we have a arm in East Africa also. About me, for the ones who don't know me, again, I've got 15 plus years of experience roughly, and in these 15 years, I've had the privilege to work with clients from diverse sectors. My core graduation happened in hospitality, but from there I moved to various industries, and here we are today. The prime reason why I wanted in the first place to discuss this topic is the figures are on your screen, and these are not nice figures. The core reason is not a very positive looking reason, but we've got nothing to hide. The whole of the world now knows that there is a problem. We all have accepted it. Uh, Statistically speaking, what does this problem translate into? The forecast, I've researched various sites, various engines, various newspapers, media houses giving figures about unemployment, and all of them have a diverse opinion like media in our country has. So what I did is I averaged out most of them, and I think the average sits at somewhere around 8.5% of forecasted unemployment this year. Okay. The total working population of our country is around 300 million, and if we are having 8.5% unemployment, that means that there are roughly 25 million job losses. 2.5 crore people sitting at home without nothing is going to mean a lot of trouble. One of the areas, one of the things that might happen is some of them would choose, because of lack of any other option, lack of other avenue, some of them might choose self-employment, and that's why I thought it's more important to come up with this subject, right? When 2.5 million people or 2.5 crore people are affected through joblessness, that also means that, in our country, generally 1% or 2% take care of a family, right? So this roughly 100 million lives that can be affected, livelihoods that can be affected, right? And desperate times do call for desperate measures. Once we get to that point where we don't have any other option, we tend to do crazy things. There is also an increasing sentiment in the market that if business was a risk, even jobs aren't safe anymore. You might lose your job in 2000, back in 2008, 9, that crisis, economic crisis. A lot of people lost their job. In between, people kept losing their jobs, and now this, right? So even a job isn't safe, isn't secured, so to say. What it can also do is it will increase competition in every area, because the demand will be low. There will be a lot of players coming in. So I guess only the fitter ones will survive in the market. I'm talking about self-employed people. Now, when it comes to fitter ones in business or in self-employment, what does it mean? I think it means the more informed ones, the more researched ones, the more wholesome offering people, the people who offer, who have a wholesome offering, who have a wholesome understanding of their business. I think they are the ones who will survive vis-a-vis somebody who's just come into a business, right? So when we talk of better informed, knowing more, I think with self-employment, with the kind of registrations that we got, a lot of people were at a stage of planning, ideation, or desiring, wishing to come into self-employment. If that is true, first thing, I think it's a responsibility to understand what self-employment isn't, rather than going to what it is. So what it isn't, the first thing is it's a big misconception that self-employment or business per se is about taking risk. Frankly, it is not about taking risks. Some of you who are already in business would agree with me that it's not actually about taking risk, but it is actually about risk mitigation. Right? Your job is to understand that there is inherent risk in a business, and you have got to mitigate it. You have got to keep making efforts towards eliminating that risk. Right? Self-employment may or may not be entrepreneurship. Now, in my view, entrepreneurship, of course, it is very important, but at the same time, it is also kind of hyped. So sometimes new or wannabe business people, wannabe entrepreneurs get overwhelmed by the understanding of entrepreneurship. I mean, at basics, you've got to innovate, you've got to come up with an genuine idea, you've got to come up with something new if you want to be an entrepreneur. Not everybody can do it, not a lot of people can do it. The fun is, not a lot of people need to do it also. Sometimes an existing product, an existing idea is also a very good business opportunity. You don't have to come up with something like a Tesla necessarily to be called a self-employed person. Entrepreneurship, yes. So the idea is self-employment is not necessarily entrepreneurship. Right? If you don't have a genuine idea, don't worry. Come up with something that you have kept seeing. If you feel that you can do this business, although there are a lot of players, but yes, this idea can be replicated and bettered. How to better it, I'm going to come to it towards the latter part of the presentation. So so entrepreneurship is not self-employment, or self-employment is not entrepreneurship. Self-employment is also, this might be rather startling, your product, your service, your idea. That's not what self-employment or business is all about. That's one component, that's one function. Product is one function, right? Whatever you're selling, you're generally, I see people, especially at the self-employment stage, they get obsessed with their ideas or their products. They fall in love with their own products, and all their focus is towards product. Again, I'm not trying to demean that thing. I'm not trying to say that that's not important. But in my view, entrepreneurship or self-employment or business or trade, whatever you call it, is about handling multiple functions at the same time. Right? So if you've been a salesperson, for example, and you have started a self-employment career of sales consulting, you tend to fall in love with sales. But here's the point: finance is equally important for you to be able to run your sales consulting business smoothly. HR is an equally important aspect. So these are functions which one needs to juggle, and juggle well, to be able to succeed. You can't get stuck on, or you can't get obsessed with your product, your service, or idea. That's not your business, right? Fourth thing, in self-employment, again, especially newer ones, fresher ones, when they come with a lot of enthusiasm, which is again a utmost necessity. But that enthusiasm can take you overboard sometimes, and all your focus will be driven at getting sales. This can happen. Sales, top line revenue, doesn't necessarily mean as much as we value it. There are so many companies who have a top line of more than hundreds crores, and yet they are not in profits, right? So what is it for you? What do you define as your success parameter? You've got to be very clear about it. It's not just about sales driven organizations. It's also not just about percentages, statistics. I find this rather bizarre. A lot of people say that अरे ये धंधे में 50% profitability है, gross profit, या वो धंधे में 30% net profit है. Uh, Percentage is just a stat. It's just one component of analysis, right? It may or may not mean anything. I mean, you can have a turnover of 1 lakh rupee and with a profitability percentage of 50, and that means you are earning 50,000 rupees in terms of net profit, let's say, and you can have 10 lakhs rupees revenue with a 15% profitability. That means you are earning 75,000 per month. So don't fall for it. Don't get overexcited about percentages, statistics, top line, these figures. Okay, self-employment, in my view, in my experience since the last 10 plus years, again, has been that it's not really about your client's network that you're carrying in the business. हर कोई एक जॉब में होता है पहले, हर कोई तो नहीं, but कई सारे लोग, हम लोग एक जॉब करते हैं और वहां पर एक क्लाइंट्स नेटवर्क बनाते हैं, साथ ही में रिसोर्स नेटवर्क बनाते हैं. And then at one point in time, we start feeling that since I know so many clients and since I know so many people, I can utilize, this is my network, this is my asset, I can utilize them and succeed in my business. Not anything against it, but it doesn't really happen the way we think it does. The clients who have given you business, it could very well mean that they have given you business because of the brand or the company that you are associated with. Resources that you know, मामा भांजे का बच्चा, दोस्त यार, ये सब इन सब की एक्सपर्टीज हो सकती है, पर कभी कभी हो सकता है कि इन अ बिजनेस you're looking actually not at an expertise but at a competency, and they may or may not have that competency, right? So don't overrate these things. And lastly, what self-employment isn't, so it isn't rocket science. Yeah. Good news is it is very commonsensical. It is very, very commonsensical. You've got to do what you do best. The way you interact with people, the way you've been interacting with people all your life, that same stance has to be taken outside. It's not like once you're an entrepreneur, people are expecting robotics or magical things from you. It's just very common sense. What makes this right time to plunge? Before the session began, I was talking to Tejal and a couple of you. What makes this right time? In my view, firstly, in my view, this is the right time. If you're planning to enter into self-employment, this is the right time. And why? Is because right now, because of the disruption happening in the market, there are tremendous new opportunities coming up. Right? If you are keen, if you are aware, if your acumen is high, you will spot a lot of opportunities. That is because generally, for an idea to get successful in the market, generally in normal times, you need the idea to be a market disruptor. But right now, somehow the market is disrupted anyway. So that has caused a lot of shift in demand, a lot of shift in consumer behavior patterns. So so there are tremendous new opportunities in the market right now. Second better thing is, I think cost of capital today is the lowest in the last couple of decades. So if you are planning something big, if you're planning a manufacturing initiative where you are looking at taking funds from banks or investors, the cost of capital is the lowest today. Overheads also. Market makes sense when I can do work from home, right? And now clients will also be more accepting towards people working from home. If you don't have an office, people will understand. Markets will react differently. If you're not having a big team, doesn't matter. So for the initial couple of years that it needs to establish your business, that time your overheads would be much lower than otherwise. So I think that's one reason. And fourthly, we are always hearing a lot of government incentives are coming. There were a lot of government incentives already for startups and MSMEs, and now there are all the more. So if you are able to utilize them, if you are able to make your way through them, that's one added incentive to be in self-employment right now. right? Um, when I when I asked for the registrations, again, a lot of you registered, said that you are at ideation stage or planning stage or vision stage, and then some of you said that you are already making revenue, and some of you were at a growth, at a growth stage. So what I've done is the how-to part. Right now, we've discussed why, what's. I'm trying to move towards how to do, how to get rolling, right? But then I couldn't have given the same how-to answers for people at ideation stage and people at revenue making stage. So I've divided it into two parts. First is before inception. So if you're at a stage where you're still planning and you now need to know how to plan, even that's a challenge sometimes, how to ideate, how to know whether what I'm doing is on the right track or no. So first thing is research. There is no excuse for research. This is one thing that we often don't do or don't do scientifically. Right? A lot of people amplify their own thoughts, perceptions, project them on a market research, saying मैं ऐसे चाय पीता हूँ तो जरूर ये चाय का ऐसा बिजनेस मॉडल चलेगा. Just as an example, nothing against tea, I'm just saying, right? So if don't be so sure of your needs and project them on the market. Find out from the market. And when I say find out from the market, again, don't just rely on primary data. Okay, primary data is very misleading. Now this might be a shocker to especially to people who have done MBAs or formal education, yeah. But in my experience, I've also seen that primary data doesn't help so much. If you go out, make a survey form or talk to some random people on roads about ye mera idea hai, what do you think? If the idea is good, generally they will say, yeah, this is fantastic. If you ask them, would you like to buy it at this point, price point, they'll say, yeah, definitely. But their yes may or may not translate into actual buying. Right? So primary data can be misleading. People often tend to not dig deeper into the feedback. So you will never know based on basis of what they have said whether the idea will work or not. So secondary data, if your idea is really genuine, really very novel, nobody has ever done it. In that case, try to collate or try to extrapolate existing data. But I would say have a roughly around 70-80, a mix of 70-80% of secondary data and 20-30% of primary data. In the second phase, all of you are planning a business, please look at this term very carefully. Value innovate. Okay? And now, in the beginning of the presentation, I said that innovation is overhyped. You don't necessarily have to be innovating, right? And here I'm saying value innovate. Now, there's a difference. What I'm saying is there might be a product already in the market, right? There might be, and that might be a very traditionally done business, and yet you can do it differently. People are always buying your products basis what value they get. So once you have understood that value and once you're able to innovate that existing product to suit your value offering, I think that is where you will stand out distinctly in the market. Just to give you an example, there are so many of them who do car on rent services, right? And yet there could be somebody who comes up with a plan that I will do car rental services, but I will make sure that what will be my premium offering, and that will be the driver will always be very formal. He will have a GPS tracking. The car will be cologne perfumed all the time. There will be a cologne towel in the car. There will be a newspaper. There will be a bottle of water, a small one, something like this. And then you may identify that for this kind of a premium service, is there a market? Right? So that again goes back to the first point, which is market research. Third point, core strategy. Again, this is one of the most, sadly, this is one of the most underrated or ignored phenomena of a business at an inception stage or a pre-inception stage. Guys, please be, and again, I think it is underrated or ignored also because a lot of people think that ये mission vision statement वगैरह से marketing gimmicks होता है. तो बैड न्यूज इज, हाँ, ये मार्केटिंग गिमिक की तरह यूज होता है मार्केट में आजकल, लेकिन इसकी एक अपनी एक अपना एक इम्पोर्टेंस है. इट इज नेसेसरी नॉट टू इम्प्रेस द क्लाइंट्स बट फॉर यू टू नो दिस एक्ट्स द कॉर्नर स्टोन ऑफ योर बिजनेस, ऑफ योर डिसीजन मेकिंग. कि यदि हम डिलेमा से फेस होते हैं So what will we do? Will we take this fork or will we take this fork? So the answer to this will always be hidden in your core strategies, the purpose, right? Why are you there in the business? Why should market even take cognizance of the fact that you exist? The answers to this will come through core strategy. And most importantly, what I've also realized is a lot of wannabe entrepreneurs look at motivational videos online and try to find answers to motivation. It's all good, but there's no harm. I'm not against them. All I'm saying is ultimately, there is nothing that motivates more than your own purpose statement, your own mission. Why do you want to be? Unless you find the answer of why, nothing will motivate you as much as much as that, right? And a lot of people ask me that vision, yeah, target, kitne samay ka leke chale? What is long term? What is short term? So there is no correct answer to this, honestly. So it depends on the type of business you are. But generally, I would say if you're leaving a job, especially, and you're entering into the business, I think you should have at least a 5 to 6 years horizon, at least, right? Somebody had asked in the registration forms also about pricing strategy. This is something that you need to do beforehand and not get into business and keep doing it, right? Quite frankly, and again, disappointingly, a lot of people position their pricing strategy on the basis of what competition is offering. Okay, positioning on the lowest prices actually may not be such a good idea for a startup or for a wannabe self-employed person. That is because एक तो अगर आप products, if you're dealing with goods, if you're dealing with tangible products, किसी और को उसी बिजनेस में बहुत सारा पैसा डाल के उसको इकोनॉमी ऑफ स्केल से मैन्युफैक्चर करके या प्रोक्योर करके आप ही के मार्केट में बेचने के लिए कुछ ज्यादा समय नहीं लगता आज की तारीख में, राइट? सो if positioning yourself on lowest price is your only strategy, you can be made obsolete within 24 hours in the market. Somebody else just has to reach your clients and tell them that I will offer you better rate than him. Right? So that's one problem. Secondly, with the kind of volume that startups have, or that people who have just started out will have, sustaining at a lower profit margin may not be really viable. Okay. So, but एक सवाल ये उठता है कि then how do you price more? So again, the answer to this is point number 2: value innovate. People are always willing to pay a premium if they get something more than what they could have otherwise, right? Uh, One of the challenges in self-employment is not actually to get business, but sometimes to be able to say no, right? If a client is pushing very hard, negotiating very hard when it comes to prices, you've got to have the ability to come to a point where you say no. But what happens is, more often than not, this is what I've seen, this is what has happened to me also in the initial years. So most of the points are experiential. The desperation of getting the business is so high, the desperation of the top line is so high, that we inevitably say yes. जैसे कि हाँ ठीक है, खाली बैठे हैं तो उससे अच्छा ये कर लेते हैं, या अगर ये मतलब कहीं से तो धंधा आना जरूरी है, या कभी कभी ये होता है कि यार ये क्लाइंट में टर्न कर लूं फिर इससे कमाऊंगा. The point is, most probably you would never be able to do that. That is because once the client has got an inkling कि ये पेन आपसे खरीदता हूँ मैं, आपसे 2 रुपए में मिलता है, और आप पहला दूसरा तीसरा वॉल्यूम ट्रेड का आप मुझे दो रुपए में दे दोगे, और एक दिन उठ के मुझे बोलोगे कि 5 रुपए में थोड़ी लूंगा, right? So your positioning will become of 2 rupees of this pen, right? So pricing strategy, work on it beforehand and stick to it. Right? Most important is, do not relent under client's pressure, and also do not get desperate into business and sell it whatever comes to you. Right? Make a pricing strategy, stick to it. Now I come to what are the things that needs to be done, or how can you create a plan after you start. So for the ones who are on revenue stage, there are certain points here that might be of importance to you. Of course, these are points that are of importance to the previous set also. I would suggest, guys, do not even think of starting out, or wherever you are in business today, take a pause. Right now, thankfully, there is a lockdown. You are already in a pause. Take a pause, create a business plan. Right? write down your business projections, write down your cash flow projections, write down your capex, opex costings. What do you anticipate to be the operational costs going further? What do you anticipate to be your gross profit margins? What do you anticipate to be your profit after tax? Everything. Make a business plan right now if you haven't already done. That's not just important for getting a loan. Of course it is, because once you go out seeking funds, that is the first thing the bank manager will ask you for, or your investor will ask you for. Tejal, can you mute yourself? Yeah. So that is the first thing your bank manager or investor will ask you for. But that's not what I'm telling you this for, or that's not only why I'm telling you this. The other and most important point is this business plan acts as your strategy document. एक साल के अंदर कितना बिजनेस करना है, इस महीने में कितना बिजनेस होना चाहिए था, कितना हुआ है, ये जो रिव्यू मैकेनिज्म है, ये आपको आपका बिजनेस प्लान बताएगा. Otherwise, what will happen is, or generally, I'm sure you guys must be seeing this happen also, कि आप जब मार्केट में निकलते हो किसी से पूछते हैं how is the business, the answers are good or not so good. Now, generally, not in this crisis times, आजकल तो सभी का bad है, लेकिन generally, good or bad क्या होता है? How do you even know if your business is doing good or bad? So, good or bad can only be defined by what you had set as a target and how much are you wearing. Are you above it? Are you below it? क्या हो रहा है business में? तो जब तक आपके पास business plan नहीं है, you will never be in a position to comment on your business yourself also. And that's, I think, very unfortunate for a business owner, that he doesn't know what's the kind of profit or loss he's making. Right? Second thing, market yourself, guys. People generally at self-employment stage rely on sales. Now, sales is important, but sales doesn't work all the time, and the prime reason is the cost of sales, especially in a city like Pune. For the ones who are planning to start or living in Pune, the cost of sales as a function in a city like Pune is very, very high. Okay. And I'm not just saying cost of sales. I don't mean just traveling or meeting people, not that cost, but the cost of time you invest. Generally, if you were to do for all you sales background people, you would resonate with me that if you're doing 6 to 8 meetings in a day, you're doing a phenomenal job, right? Practically होता नहीं है, और आप जब खुद का आइडिया बेचोगे तो आप बहुत ज़्यादा पैशनेट रहोगे. That's why one meeting, to be able to do something constructive, you spend that much more time. So that means you do only 3 to 4 meetings per day at max. And also, वो जो travel time है जो आप invest कर रहे हो, that is almost half of your day's productivity in a city like Pune. Right? So I would suggest do sales. Of course, I'm not saying don't have that as a function, but a better solution is market yourself. Your branding, your image, your brand message should reach the client even before you or your sales representative reaches. And this is the day and age where marketing is again at an all-time low cost today. It's made so convenient, so easy that you can just log into Facebook, LinkedIn, or whatever social media platforms you're comfortable with. You just log in and post it. In fact, how did you even get to know this webinar that I'm doing? Through social media, right? So cost of marketing is low, accessibility is very high. Also, पुराने जमाने में होता था कि आपको होर्डिंग लगानी पड़ती थी, न्यूज़पेपर एड्स देने पड़ते थे, and then you're never sure as to who's reading it and what is it reaching your target audience. But social media or digital media allows you to reach the exact target customer also. So that way, the cost of impact is all the more lesser. You get a much higher impact at a much lesser cost these days, right? Third thing, and this is the most boring aspect of entrepreneurship or of business or of self-employment, right? Documentation. But here's the point: if you don't do it, you will keep doing the same mistakes over and over. Two, you will not be able to scale, because for you to be able to scale someday, maybe not now, but let's say you have a scaling or a growth plan of 3 years or 5 years. How do you do it? You can't be present everywhere doing everything, right? So eventually you will have to have people or processes, systems working for you. So if you have any of these working for you, that person or that system would not know how your brain thinks. And this is one of the common mistakes every self-employed businessman does in India, that he doesn't document. I'm not saying that they don't have processes. All I'm saying is unka process unke dimag mein hota hai. They know how to do it. But what happens when they are not around? Or what happens when they are scaling up? Right? So one of the most boring jobs, guys, but again, I can't really lay enough emphasis on its importance. Right? Get into the habit of doing this boring rhetoric job every day. Please document your processes. Right? And fourth point, again, I cannot lay enough emphasis on this point. Focus. I think there was a question around this also, that should we do multiple things? Once you get into self-employment, you will have a lot of time at hand initially, right? Uh, although I hope that you don't have it, but initially you will have. So that's why you will be tempted all the more to do many things. बहुत सारे आइडियाज आएंगे, बहुत सारे लोग मिलेंगे जो आइडेंटिफाई कर रहे हैं कि तुम्हारा मार्केट क्या है, और जिस क्लाइंट्स के पास तुम जाते हो या रीच करते हो वही एग्जैक्टली उनका भी मार्केट हो सकता है. सो दे विल कम एंड से, यार सिंस यू आर गोइंग आउट, व्हाई डोंट यू सेल दिस आल्सो, आई विल गिव यू कमीशन. Right? So such fantastic ideas will keep coming, fantastic sounding ideas will keep coming at you. If you have the bandwidth, nothing like it. But here's my say: self-employed person has two things in limited amounts. First is time. आपके पास 24 ही घंटे हो सकते हैं दिन में. एंड सेकंड एंड मोर इम्पोर्टेंट इज एनर्जी. सो अगर आप एक प्रोडक्ट के बारे में आधा घंटा भी बैठ के सोच रहे हो, तो यू आर कंज्यूमिंग एनर्जी. You are eventually developing a decision fatigue, and that's why chances are high that you will end up making bad decisions. So conserve your energy and focus it on what you have. This is my opinion, and there's a lot of debate around this, but I think focus is the right strategy. Um, I can give an analogy here. I mean, if a laser beam and sun has hundreds of thousands of times more energy than that laser beam, but the impact that laser beam can do, it can put a hole through somebody, right? So that is because that beam is pretty sharp, pretty focused, right? And sun's energy is spread it across. So if you spread too thin, you may not be able to create impact. Now, I'm not saying that please go and penetrate somebody, but what I'm trying to bring out is, if you want to, if you want to be known, the market, frankly, market doesn't or cannot remember you for more than 2 to 3 things. Like if you go to a restaurant and open its menu, there are 50, 100 things printed. You will not remember everything, but you will definitely remember what that restaurant is famous for, what is the cuisine that it is serving, right? So that's because your memory about a product or a brand is limited. Your market cannot remember you for everything that you're doing. So logically, sometimes it sounds very reasonable कि कर ही रहे हैं, business में उतरे हैं, तो ये भी कर लेते हैं, वो भी कर लेते हैं, जहाँ से पैसा आएगा. But eventually, what you're doing is creating a dent in your own image or in your own brand recall. Okay. So that's my point. The discussion will not be complete unless I also bring out what are the key challenges. सिक्योरिटी वगैरह के चैलेंजेस तो है ही, बट उसके अलावा बिजनेस में घुसने से पहले के क्या चैलेंजेस होते हैं या बाद में के, ये अगेन एक्सपीरियंस से मैं बताना चाहता हूँ यहाँ पे कि फर्स्ट थिंग इज one of the challenges that almost 70% of self-employed businesses that I've dealt with have faced and have faced is cash flow management. हम लोग धंधा कर लेते हैं किसी क्लाइंट को खुश करने के लिए, ये सोच के कि यार करेंगे तो होगा, हम लोग कर लेते हैं, क्रेडिट दे देते हैं, और कभी कभी क्रेडिट समय पे नहीं आता है, कभी कभी आता ही नहीं है. सो ऑल ऑफ दीज प्रॉब्लम्स are cash flow problems. If you're not able to manage cash flow, so I have seen a lot of businesses shut down in spite of being profitable but not being able to manage cash flow. अगर आपको जो रेंट भरना है, आपको जो सैलरी देनी है, आपको जो किसी की फीस देनी है, टैक्स भरना है, जो कुछ भी करना है, वो आपको उसी प्रिस्क्राइब्ड डे पे करना होगा, राइट? आपकी अगर ईएमआई है वर्स इवन, तो आपको ये उस दिन करना होगा. यू कैनॉट You cannot keep telling your employees that I'll pay you next month because I haven't got money. You cannot tell the bank guy that I can't pay EMI right now. मेरा पैसा आएगा तब मैं दूंगा. Right? So cash flow management, a lot of good businesses get shut because their cash flows are in red. So please be wary. Have a very very strict credit recovery policy from day one. कितना ही अच्छा client हो, कुछ भी हो, day one से आपका credit recovery स्ट्रांग होना चाहिए, आपका मैकेनिज्म स्ट्रांग होना चाहिए, आपका फॉलो अप मैकेनिज्म स्ट्रांग होना चाहिए, आपका प्रोसेस कहीं ऐसा कोई है आपको लग रहा है कि आपको इसको सू करना पड़ेगा आगे जाके, या आपको लगता है कि आपको सू करना पड़ सकता है, बैड डेट्स नहीं चाहिए, तो सू करना भी इतना आसान नहीं है. किसी ने आपका पैसा डुबा दिया तो इट इज अ बिग चैलेंज इन द फर्स्ट प्लेस टू प्रूव दैट ही ओव्स यू मनी. A lot of people say कि एक चेक ले लूंगा तो सब हो जाएगा. इतना आसान नहीं होता. There is a lot of complication involved, legal complication, and that brings me to my second point, which is IPR and other laws. One of the biggest challenges, friends, in doing small-time business in India, or a self-employed business in India, is IPR and other laws. People blatantly copy your product design. They will blatantly copy your content. They will blatantly copy your ideas, your services, and replicate it, sometimes better it, or sometimes just create a chaos around it and spoil your name also. I mean, कभी कभी होता है जैसे कोई अगर यहाँ पर कोई ट्रेनर है तो आप मुझसे एग्री करोगे कि आप जब किसी कॉर्पोरेट के पास जाते हो और आप कहते हो कि आई डू दिस ट्रेनिंग फॉर यू एंड माय फी वुड बी let's say 50,000. The corporate says, what are you talking about? I get a lot of trainers doing the same thing at 10,000. Now, in your heads, you're very sure that I am, you want to say कि 10,000 वाला तो करके देख लो, because you are very sure that your experience, your delivery will be much better. But 10, 50, the client also thinks, sometimes the client just wants to do it and you're losing business. So, and then the client books it, does business with him, and gets disappointed. And over a period of time, what happens is trainers on the whole start getting a bad name. ये लोग कुछ भी करते हैं, right? So all of this is pretty unorganized, pretty mismanaged in our country. So that's one challenge. Thirdly, in business, once you move from job to business, in jobs I generally see, if you were to ask me what is the difference between being employed and self-employed, here is my one point answer. Employed people have to deal with a lot of problems day in day out. They will have to come up with fantastic solutions, and that's a skill. What is different about business people is they have to deal with dilemmas. Right? So in business generally, or in self-employment generally, you will be faced with a lot of options, lot of choices where both options are right. प्रॉब्लम नहीं होता कि एक गलत है एक सही है तो आप चुन लोगे, फाइंड आउट व्हाट इज रॉन्ग एंड चूज इट. बट डिलेमा में ये होता है कि बोथ लुक राइट. You have to find out what is better for me, and that's not so easy sometimes, right? So dealing with dilemmas is one big challenge for business people. uh, Another thing is businesses generally tends to get overwhelming after a point in time. सबको लगता है कि बिजनेस में हर कोई अपने मन का राजा होगा, बहुत फ्रीडम मिलेगा, कोई बॉस नहीं होगा. ऐसा कभी नहीं होता. You always have a boss. Sometimes if you are a self-employed person and working on a project for a client, the client becomes your boss. So, or your own expectations become your boss. So there is no such thing as absolute freedom even here. In fact, ये तो मैं कहूँगा कि थोड़ा ज़्यादा ही है, क्योंकि as a self-employed person, you cannot afford to say that, this is my Sunday, I will not answer your call, at least not in the beginning stage. So it becomes overwhelming sometimes कि बहुत सारे functions हैं. हर कोई हर चीज का तो एक्सपर्ट नहीं हो सकता, लेकिन इसमें होना पड़ता है, कम से कम सुनना पड़ता है. आप कुछ काम कर रहे हो और सडनली आपको 18-19 तारीख है, आपके सीए का फोन आ जाएगा कि डूड इट इज टाइम टू फाइल जीएसटी रिटर्न्स, एंड यू लीव एवरीथिंग एंड देन स्टार्ट वर्किंग टुवर्ड्स जीएसटी रिटर्न. मार्च एंड आता है तो आप पागल हो जाते हो सस्पेंस अकाउंट्स और ये सब डील करते हुए, राइट? सो समटाइम्स इट टेंड्स टू गेट ओवरवेलमिंग. यू जस्ट हैव टू train that muscle of that emotional muscle to deal with the overwhelm. And lastly, पिछले स्लाइड पे हमने लॉजिक की बात की थी, फोकस की बात करते हुए. ये एक्चुअली बिजनेस में हर जगह होता है कि या कई जगह पे होता है रादर, कि कभी-कभी लॉजिक से आगे हट के आपको प्रैक्टिकल बनना पड़ता है. एंड कई बार हमारी जिस तरीके से हमारी सोच बनती है, culturally, the way we are programmed at thinking about logic as, if somebody is logical, we also say he's practical, but they can be different, right? Sometimes practicality doesn't at all match with uh, being logical. So choices have to be made, and one of the choices that you have to keep making is being practical rather than being logical. Like, for example, if you are sitting with a client and the client is trying to tell you something apart from your business, and you know that it's not logical, but you cannot, I mean, just to win that logical argument, you might sometimes ruin a relation, and practically you made yourself a loss. So ऐसे बहुत सारे problems आते हैं जिसमें आपको pragmatism choose करना पड़ता है, being practical choose करना पड़ता है. On the topics of dilemmas and pragmatism, I have made 2 videos, and they're on my YouTube channel. You can just go and see. But I've tried to elaborate that idea of dilemmas and being practical. So I just wanted to touch base on these challenges. Okay. Now I request everyone to, if you have something to talk, unmute yourself, and we can all start discussing. Let's make it a two-way, multi-way conversation. I'm done with what I had to say. Bhagyashri, is there a question?
Wait, let me check.
Hi, Ketan. Am I audible?
Yes, Nitin. Yes, you are.
Hi. Hey, first of all, must congratulate you. Fantastic, set of slides and really informative for people, especially who are planning to get into business or self-employment, as you spoke of in these, time of COVID. Now,
Thank you so much.
I had one observation. First, I loved your point about the practical versus logical. Okay, that debate, I've been there, done that. It's fantastic. I mean, I completely agree and concur with you, because it becomes so overwhelming at times when you're sitting in front of the client and you say, "Kya baat kar?" But you know, because you have seen that ruler, and if you're in that startup stage, it's a cash flow that is taking at the back of your mind.
Yes.
So I completely agree to that. In fact, I was getting goosebumps when you were, on that particular thing. However, I beg to differ with you on one aspect, which was, what you spoke about, entrepreneurship versus self-employment. Now, so in a couple of months ago, I actually conducted this session on tech entrepreneurship for, B School Nasi Monji. And so from an academic point of view as well as from a practical point of view, I think every self-employed person has to be an entrepreneur. If you're talking about an entrepreneur versus an intrapreneur, that's a different debate altogether, because then you're mitigating the risk of your monthly income because your salary is coming. Okay, but when it comes to self-employed, there is no guarantee that your monthly paycheck is going to come in. That is a risk. Likewise, even for entrepreneurship, that's a big risk. So I really could not identify what differentiation you were trying to bring out in these two terminologies.
Okay, I actually am on your side of argument when it comes to every self-employed person has to be an entrepreneur. Yes, I think the difference is a little more finer than maybe I didn't do justice while talking about it in the slide. What I actually meant was, you as a self-employed person, you need to be entrepreneurial. There is no other way. There's no two ways about it. Sometimes this overwhelm of, again, entrepreneurship as a subject tends to make you feel that to be an entrepreneur, the textbook definition says that you've got to have something ingenuine or something innovative, something new, novel in a new market, right? If you're stuck by that, self-employment, being an entrepreneur may be out, but yet, in spite of not having something new or genuine of yourself or innovative, you can still be self-employed. Like, for example, if somebody is trading in something, if somebody is manufacturing something already and there is a market already, I can be self-employed and take up a sales agency of that guy or a distributorship of that guy without innovating, without doing anything at all, which is got anything to do with technical definition of entrepreneurship. I can still be self-employed. Okay, so that lack of innovating that part doesn't disallow me from becoming a self-employed person. But yes, to be able to do it successfully, I need to have entrepreneurial qualities, which there is no debate, there's no argument that I have about that. Is what I meant.
Okay, understood. So basically, I kind of looked at your definition of entrepreneurship as more from an inventor point of view. Because if I were to look at it, like as you mentioned, there is something we already said. Let's say the masks that are being sold, right, in
Yes,
today's day and age. Now there
yes,
is somebody who's invented a mask. There is a need for that particular item. There are a
true.
lot of players already here. But I think if I can try to come up with some kind of a map and do it a hyper local kind of a
Yes,
scenario where I create some differentiator and I say I'm going to start distributing these same masks, at the same price point of my competition. However, I will try and differ myself when it comes to services. I'll try and push them
exactly.
some, something else and so on and so forth.
Yes,
Now, that makes me an entrepreneur, right?
absolutely.
At the same time, I am also, if at all my business goes well, and apart from the masks, I also try and add in, let's say, hand sanitizers or the
Hmm,
other
hmm,
complementary things that would go on in the PPE that we're talking about. So
hmm.
that would actually make me an entrepreneur because now I'm also trying to create employment here. So if
True.
we look at an entrepreneur, he's not only supposed to make money for himself, but he should
Yes,
try and create employment for others.
yes,
So here there is no innovation. I am doing what the entire world is doing, but in
yes.
spite of that, I am having that entrepreneurial streak, and so there is this overlap of entrepreneur and self-employment. I mean,
Absolutely.
just
That's
to
why
put that down.
if you observe, Nitin, I made a careful choice of word on that slide also. I had written may or may not be entrepreneur. Uh,
Agree,
the premise that I was coming from was a lot of people while planning, especially from IT sector. This is what I've seen while dealing with people who want to someday do a startup or something. I see that they get stuck sometimes with कि यार ये तो बहुत लोगों ने किया है, इसमें कुछ नया नहीं है. सो सिर्फ नया होगा तो ही मैं कर पाऊंगा, मतलब आइडिया अगर नया है किसी ने नहीं किया तो ही मैं इसका बिजनेस कर पाऊंगा. ये जो आइडिया कभी कभी इसमें स्टक हो जाता है बंदा. सो आई वाज कमिंग फ्रॉम दैट प्रीमिस.
Perfect. Thank you, man. Thank you.
Pleasure is mine, Nitin, and nice to have you here.
Pleasure's mine.
Hi, Ketan.
Hi, Tejan. Is that Tejan?
I was wondering, while you are in market and dealing with a lot of people at the initial
Hmm.
stage of your um, business, and
Yeah,
especially with somebody who is always into job and not really into talking so much. Okay,
yeah, yeah.
so at times people tend to understand, okay, she's very new in the market, and then try to negotiate on to various levels. When I say
Hmm.
negotiate, you know, maybe they don't have that type of facility available, but for a sake they'll say कि अरे मैडम ये तो मिल रहा है, we are already doing that. Why do we come through you? So how to
Yes.
crack that deal?
So दो चीजें हैं तेजल की. सबसे पहले तो you got to be very very sure about your offering, right? You got to know कि कोई कम में दे रहा है तो वो क्यों कम में दे रहा है. वो सारा स्टैट्स, वो सारा कॉम्पिटिटर रिसर्च वगैरह तो आपके पास होना ही चाहिए. there's no two ways about this also. But sometimes it so happens that client identifies that you're a newbie, and then he uses pressure tactics to negotiate and come and try to get a better deal. And I think he is well within his rights to do that. क्यों नहीं करे वो, right?
Right.
Uh, here's your thing. You've got to draw a line and tell the client that if you're asking me for this price, I may not be able to offer you the same service level, or I may not be able to deliver the same defined product. You can be smart and have an option ready कि अगर आपको ये चाहिए तो मैं ये चीजें हटा देता हूँ और x minus y करके देता हूँ आपको. या I know, well, no, quite frankly, sir, I really like your offer. I'm really happy that you gave me a patient here. It's just that I cannot. I understand you're, you're somewhere stuck with your budgets, or you have some restrictions when it comes to budgets, and also understand the point that you are getting it at a better rate, or you may get it at a better rate. In fact, I know a couple of them who I can suggest you, but I'm sorry, sir, I cannot do it at that price because the way I have built my product, that's not even my cost or whatever else you want to say. Right? But the point is, the client must not ever read your desperation, and for the client to not read your desperation, you should in your own head you will have to sort out desperation. बिकॉज अगर आपके दिमाग में है तो कहीं ना कहीं तो मुंह पे आ ही जाएगी नो मैटर व्हाट यू डू इट विल रिफ्लेक्ट योर साइकोलॉजी विल run through your physiology and client will spot it. He may not say it, he will definitely not say it, but he will spot it. Right? So पहले तो आपके दिमाग में आप सॉर्ट कीजिए कि अगर डेस्परेशन है तो ऐसा नहीं भाई फर्स्टली एक बात समझना होगा कि नॉट एवरीबडी इज योर क्लाइंट anybody everybody that you pitch to not necessarily is your client. A client is the one who appreciates your product and is able to and willing to pay. I think textbook definition भी marketing की वही है कि buying happens when there is ability backed by willingness to buy. So willingness हो, ability हो, आपके price point पे ये सब जब match होता तो वो client है. जो तो आपको कौन client है और कौन नहीं है ये भी define करना होगा. Right? And you have to live with that fact. You can't have everybody.
At least meeting 10 people will create your brand and do your marketing as well.
There's no harm meeting 10 people, 100 people. Of course, keep meeting. How will you identify if he's your client or not? You have to meet, right? Meet or propose, send proposals, whatever. But again, every 10 you meet may not turn into a client. You will have to live with this fact.
Right. Okay.
And in fact, sometimes, again, in my experience, I've seen that sometimes if you stick to your guns, that actually, that loss of business, you might lose that business, but that loss of business becomes your marketing tool also. अगली बार जब आपके साथ अप्रोच करेगा या ये बंदा आपके बारे में कहीं बोलेगा तो बोलेगा नहीं यार वो रेट पे कम नहीं करता है. His service is good, but he doesn't compromise on it. So maybe that becomes your marketing, your word of mouth. So who knows? But then, yeah, all in all, loss में business करना मेरे समझ में नहीं आता है. Unless you have a very big game of creating a valuation. But then that's, I think you will not be able to pull that off on a self-employment stage. You'll have to move a little ahead in those quadrants.
Keep doing good. And
Sorry?
Keep doing good. I think that will prove your.
Keep doing good. Keep knowing what you can and what not, and then what you can't. And if that person is asking you to do it, then that person is not your client. Simple as that. Have I answered you, please?
Yes.
Omkar, are you around?
Yes, I'm very much around.
Yes.
So, yeah, Ketan, I was wondering if I have multiple means to go into different businesses. I was wondering, how do you allocate time? Is it justified that you do multiple business at the same time? Because then you want everything to be perfect at the end of the day, and this is where you have to prioritize one business over other. So how do you meet that challenge? If I have resources and means to develop and to run multiple businesses, but the constraint of time, as you said, there cannot be more than 24 hours end of the day.
True. Yes. So the answer is yes and a no both actually. But before that, I would like to just pick on a point that you mentioned that at the end of the day, we all wanted to be perfect. Sometimes this alone, this want of being perfect or perfectionism, this alone becomes our nemesis. A lot of us self-employed people, we get stuck into this mesh of perfectionism. Nothing wrong with it. The only thing is we move that much away from scaling up. Okay? So it doesn't work all the time. I will leave it here right now. That word, that perfectionism thing. But coming to your main question, main part of the question, if you can do multiple businesses, well, who's to stop you? Okay. But one thing I have realized in my career as a consultant is who can, firstly, you need to understand that who can do it. The ones who have the tenacity to keep at it and document processes and become very process sound and optimize processes. I mean, growing is possible only when you're able to replicate a set of processes at multiple locations or places or with clients or things like that. Like the industry that you belong to, I have a perfect example there. Somebody like a McDonald's, right? Their processes are crazy. If you join McDonald's as a hospitality person, you will be amazed. The first thing that will come to your mind is, are they not trusting people's intelligence that they are writing everything down? वहाँ पे ये भी लिखा होता है कि how to hold a mop, उसका 8-step process लिखा होता है. अगर if there is a stain, what motion will you use? If there is a normal cleaning, what motion will you use? कचरा डंप करते हो प्लास्टिक को कैसे हैंडल करोगे? तो आपको ये लगने लग जाता है कि what nonsense. I mean, do I not know how to wash my hands or how to pick up a plastic? But they write it. The idea is they don't actually want to trust your intelligence, because then that will bring in subjectivity and their core processes will be compromised. And then one McDonald's somewhere in Mumbai will have a very different offering from other McDonald's in some other part of Mumbai. And it's a miracle that they've actually been able to have around roughly 38,000 restaurants worldwide and be able to deliver almost immaculate service levels, similar service levels everywhere. I mean, हम लोग घर में भी चाय बनाते तो I think every 2 times that you make tea, it won't taste similar. So that's because we don't have a documented process, and they have that. So if you have taken time out initially to document every single process, then all you have to do as a businessman is to scale and then put a person, a checklist दे के person या system बिठानी है, and just to ensure that results are replicable. But if that has not been done, I am of a very conservative, you would say orthodox opinion here, that I don't think, I think diversification ये motivational videos में बहुत hype किया जाता है कि यही success का strategy है कि इस बंदे का 10 business है. At the end of the day, तुम्हारे पास energy और time तो उतना ही है. So if your process isn't settled, why are you wasting time and energy both into doing something new? I think a lot of people who have a business acumen, if they move into doing different things, they will move when their risk appetite is, or their risk profile is low risk, low returns. But somebody who has an appetite for a high risk, high return will stick to focus as a strategy. Should stick to focus as a strategy. Have I answered you, Omkar? Or is there more?
Yeah, that's perfectly understandable. Quite right.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Yes, Ketan, I have a question.
Rageshree, yes. Hi.
Yes. Hi. So I wanted to ask if it's a good idea to start small and then grow big.
So in what aspect, firstly, I'm sorry, I'm asking a counter question on a question, but in what aspect? Start small and grow big. What aspect?
Yeah, so start small as in start at a smaller scale and then maybe, grow it to a bigger level.
Yes. So start small and grow big. If it is about scale, definitely. Why? I think that should be the way. If you don't have a lot of resources, if you want to be sure about what you're doing is right, don't want to risk it all, don't want to gamble of sorts. I think it's a perfect strategy to start small when it comes to scale. Start small and grow big. What I think happens sometimes is people get fancy ideas about starting small and going big. So they start at a smaller level of service and then eventually think, yeah, I'll one day get into a bigger level of service. If that is the idea, then that sometimes doesn't work. Let me give you an example here. I think 14 years back, I used to work for a city-based hotel chain called ST Hotels, right? And we had a hotel near Inox Theatre in Pune camp, and very close by there was another hotel. I wouldn't want to take the name. So our offering was a 4-star hotel, and that particular hotel that I'm talking to you about was between 2 to 3 star, a boutique sort of an offering. And sometimes after taking a market research, the owner of the hotel decided that he will take the whole property down, rebuild it, renovate it, and launch new. Okay, so whatever XYZ that name of that hotel was, they shut the business for 6 months, renovated, and made really good product when it comes to interiors and the feel and the ambience. They made a very nice product. They renovated their rooms to a very high level. We went to see it also, and then they started going out in the market, and now they started positioning their rates at the same level of ST hotels, saying that we have a better product now. But what they got as a feedback was very interesting, was very insightful. The market started telling them, ठीक है यार, आपका XYZ जो ऑफरिंग है आपने रेनोवेट किया, सब ठीक है, लेकिन ये रेट जो आप दे रहे हो, अगर यही देना तो फिर तो हम एस्टिक में चले जाते हैं. Right? So what that tells us is people create over a period of time, people create images, people create a recall of you, and that recall has got something to associate with price also. Like if Lifebuoy soap tomorrow starts selling the same soap at 50 rupees, saying that they've upgraded the quality of the soap, they might have a very difficult time, because Lifebuoy का जो हमारे दिमाग में इमेज है वो उस पर्टिकुलर प्राइस पॉइंट का है. सो अगर सर्विस लेवल की बात है तो मे बी नॉट, बट अगर स्केल की बात है तो डेफिनेटली यस, इट्स अ गुड आइडिया टू स्टार्ट स्मॉल एंड देन ग्रो बिग. But then be sure, like for example, in your business also, if you've made a clear thought that you would want to deal with the best of the A-level corporates, let's say. So even when you're starting small in scale, but even then you should look for A-level corporates or very close to A-level corporates. What will happen is if you start dealing with micro corporates, micro-level businesses, thinking that I will first create some business stories, some success stories, and then one day approach them. The day you approach them, they will say, "Oh, you haven't worked for a company of our stature." So then they will treat you as a fresher anyway. So it's rather prudent to then keep to start with that client profile itself. Have I answered you, Bhagesh?
Yes, Ketan, absolutely.
Hello, Ketan, Prasad here.
Hey, Prasad. Hi.
Hi. So first of all, it was a wonderful session, and
Thanks
there are a
much.
lot of insights that we actually learned about the business these days. Quick question to you is,
Yes.
just adding to Bhagesh's point is, how do we get to know what to sell to a client? Because we work in a different spectrum of films and audiovisual productions. So what to sell to the client is really a confusion point for me right now.
Yes. The answer is pretty elaborate, but I'll try to sum it up in a couple of lines. Okay. How do you identify what you've got to sell? Sometimes in your effort, in your endeavor of selling something, all you think about is your product or your idea. Okay, what do I do? How do we do it better? What are our steps? What is our methodology? All of that. Quite frankly, the client will listen to all of that, and the answer will be, "Okay, sounds good. I'll come back to you whenever I need it." Okay. And chances are high that he'll never call you back. Here's the thing: the sales, the selling pitch, the selling idea should always flow from one question, and that is, you need to ask that if I was the client, what is in it for me? Clients don't give, जितना हम लोग सोचते हैं हमारे प्रोडक्ट के बारे में, वो लोग उतना ज्यादा इंपॉर्टेंस नहीं दे रहे हैं उस प्रोडक्ट को. Your methodologies, your 4 P's, 8 C's, इन सब पे क्लाइंट इतना ध्यान नहीं दे रहा है. What he is interested in is कि चलो ठीक है, I will buy this. What will I get? What is in it for me? So basically, what problem of mine is your offering solving? Once you have oriented your brain, your minds towards what problem of my client will I solve, automatically you will start getting ideas as to what to sell and how to sell.
Okay.
Okay, like just again, something related to your industry. I'll give a very small, short and a quick example. Back in 90s, there were two major competitors, Kodak and Canon. Okay, Kodak said we sell photo films, we sell rolls. Film. Those were the days when there were rolls, right? Film rolls. So they said we sell photo films, and there was a company called Canon which was way too far behind when it comes to market share. That time Kodak was the leader, and Canon said that we are in the business of helping our clients preserve memories. Why do you click photographs? Because you want to preserve memories, right? So we are in the business of preserving memories, and they talked. In my view, I think they talked about what problem of the client are they solving. 10-15 साल बाद, if you take this album out, you see this photograph, you will have either a nostalgia or some pleasant recall of that memory. That's why you click a photograph. So we're doing this for you. And by the time we speak, I think Kodak is shut and Canon, we all know where it is today. So try to look at it this way. Try to create your sales pitch or your offering around what problem of your client are you going to solve. What is in it for me? For the client, what is in it for the client?
Right. I think that's a very good, insight.
Thanks.
Thank you, Ketan.
Hi.
Anyone? Yeah, Tejan, hi.
Hi. First of all, thank you, Prasad, for this wonderful question. Because of this question, this new question has arisen. Now, say your product or the service are the same, but then client-wise it might differ. So now when you
Yes.
say that, think what the client is facing or what problem the client is facing, and then you start talking about your product or service, right? So
Yes.
basically, before approaching a client, you need
Yes.
to rethink about the same service what you're going to give, but then the presentation for different client might differ, right?
Yes. So we are living in a day and time where one company profile or one pitch deck doesn't solve all the purposes. So yes, I think in my view, so I'm going to conduct a separate session on selling or creating sales pitches to be able to sell or market yourself. And of course, I'll reach out to you when I do that. But just to answer your question, yes, every as a self-employed person, as a business person, as a salesperson, as anybody who's interacting with client, the first thing you got to do is listen to the client's needs. And unless you do that, you're not going to be able to create a offering to the client, a value-based offering. Otherwise, all you will keep doing is, this is my product, these are its features, this is its benefits, this is the methodology, vagare, vagare. It will not take you anywhere. Okay? If you want to do a meaningful sales pitch, the solution is to firstly listen to the client's problems, parallelly keep thinking as to how does my product or my offering, how can it solve this problem. And if you think, after all the thinking, if you think you cannot do it, I think you've got to have that kind of guts, I would say, to go out and tell the client that, sir, I did listen you out, and I think what you're needing, my product cannot do that for you. I don't think you should be buying this. I think you should be looking at something like this. आई थिंक यू माइट लूज बिजनेस. हर टाइम हम लोग कहीं ना कहीं से वो प्रोडक्ट को फिट करने को देखते हैं कि किसी तरह से वो ले ले, सेल्स बढ़ जाए. बट अ लॉन्ग टर्म mutually beneficial fruitful business relationship will come out. The client will appreciate that, oh, he chose not to sell to me because he thought it doesn't suit.
Right. Very true, Ketan. Thank you.
Thanks, Tejan. Thanks. Anyone else? Bhagyashree, is there a question typed or something?
No, nothing in the chat.
I hear two voices. Sorry.
Ketan, am I audible?
Yes, Nitin. Yes.
Yeah. Hi. So, with your permission, I'd just like to add, 2 points. In continuation to what you were saying. See, essentially, what you need to do is you need to ask yourself, 3 questions before you make the pitch to the client. Okay. First, you need to ask, why now? Why is it that the client is going to buy now? Okay, is it what would happen if the client delays his buying decision by a month or a year? Is it really going to
Yes.
make his impact his life in any way?
Yeah.
The second question that the client needs to ask, or rather you need to ask yourself, why me? Why not my competition?
True.
I would just take my competition, nearest competition, and replace his name with mine and see if there is any real differentiator or USP that I'm bringing onto the table. Right?
Yes.
So that's the thing. And third is what you were saying, Vifim, what is in it for me? A financial value prop, if you may. How is my life going to become easier? And then I'd want to connect this dot to what you spoke of during the first slides. It may be very important for you to use your intelligence to find out whether I should talk about if there is a financial value prop. Should I talk about percentage or should I talk about absolute number? Because many times 50,000 may not be a big number, okay,
Yes.
but 50% may be a big number.
Yes. Yes.
So from that point of view, you need to use your intelligence and go and approach the client. So this is one thing that I wanted to add. And the other thing that I wanted to say, was when you were speaking about perfection, and it was like you stealing my words. Because, when somebody spoke about, is it okay to diversify multiple, businesses? In one of the Shark Tanks that I'd seen, there was this, I don't remember who it was, who said that perfection is the enemy of growth. And that's exactly what you said. So that's all.
Thanks, buddy. I did not hear you out, but yeah, that's something that I wasted. Frankly speaking, I have wasted myself a lot of time in my initial years, even in smaller things like getting the email correct, the wording correct. It is important, agreed. But sometimes we tend to spend a lot more time, and that way is again. I think we start acting like control freaks. कि अगर किसी को एम्प्लॉय भी कर लेते थे then we keep telling him type that mail and send to me first. I will review it and then send. So yes, I think yes, perfection is the antithesis, is the enemy of growth in that. And I think very important. Thank you so much, actually, Nitin. Why now and why me? That makes it wholesome. That question, not just what is in it for me, but then why now also.
Right.
If you're going to need this after 1 year, then again, okay, I'll come and see you after 1 year. And if I don't have a differentiator, then again, the client will tend to say that, okay, I'll invite 3 tenders and then come back to you, and then he'll never come back.
Hi. That brings back to another question to me, that see, at times many a business gives you an appointment, and then you are asked to come and visit and understand the requirement. And many times a business, you approach a client to offer the services you have come up with. So, are you planning to arrange for a seminar or webinar wherein how you open up with a discussion?
Yes.
Or can you answer the same?
Yes, no, I'm going to plan because that's a very big topic by itself. I think today I wanted to discuss about certain things that are important even before you start making those sales speeches, sales
There
pitches.
are few things when you start talking. There are few things which talk about you apart from your appearance. What could be those?
Yes, so I'm going to cover all of those. Salesmanship, basically, being able to sell right, being able to market yourself, being able to create the same image that you have in your head, in your client's head about you or about your product. I'm going to cover, but that's a very elaborate topic, Tejal. I'm so sorry, I'm not able to, because if I start answering that, that's going to take an hour
No,
at
I
least.
understand. That's why I asked that, are you planning to arrange for another?
Yes, yes, I am planning to. In fact,
no problem.
in the month of June itself, we are coming up with one of those.
Is it? Okay, great.
Sessions. Anyone else? There is something that I can help you with.
Yes, one more question, Ketan.
Yes, Omkar.
While choosing a product to sell, would you rather go for a 1 rupee product selling to 100 people or a 100 rupee product selling to one person?
Are you asking me or are you asking should we do it?
Yeah, like what would be your wiser choice?
For me, if I was doing it, I would choose a 100 rupee product for 10 people over a 1 rupee product for 100 people or 1,000 people. That's me. But again, that's me doesn't make this the only right answer. Uh, my point is, you've got to be very sure about your numbers. Every business person comes, I believe that he comes with some amount of instinct, some amount of gut feel that this will work for me, or this is my calling. So if somebody has a calling of a 1 rupee product and to be sold at masses, why not? I think one good example about a very big success story selling 1 rupee products to a huge market recently has been Pulse Candy. Within 8 months' time, they cracked 100 crore revenue without spending anything on formal advertisement or marketing, just word of mouth. And 1 rupee product, candy, right? It's a beautiful case study. In fact, one of my webinars, it's also available on YouTube on my channel. You can see it, differentiation webinar. I gave a case study of Pulse Candy there. To each his own is the answer. There's no right or wrong. If you ask me in particular, I wouldn't do it. But again, like I said, doesn't make it right or wrong.
All right, got the point.
Anyone else? Something to discuss with us? Okay. I'm just stopping the screen share in the meantime. And yeah. So, as a thing, I'm going to, the recording of this, I'm going to put on the YouTube channel and send you guys the link, which will have all the components, including the presentation. And we are planning a series of webinars related to hows and whats and whys of businesses of various stature. One of the other products that we deal in is also training. So we're going to come up with a series of webinars and videos on personality side of things. So that will be another series, not on Saturdays. That will be on some other day. The whole look and feel will be different of that. So thank you so much, guys, for being here. For everybody who enriched the interaction, you give me such a lot of points to discuss. I hope I've been able to add some value to this point, been able to answer some of your explicit or implicit queries related to how to get into self-employment. Should I get into self-employment? Risk, I think, is everybody's personal choice. I mean, risk appetite. Should I take a risk or no? I think nobody can give you an answer to that. Only you can answer that. But if you do, then the point of mitigating risk, which was my first point, I think that's what we specialize in. So if someone of you has an elaborate plan in trying to understand how to do it, we can get into a one-to-one conversation sometime. All in all, thanks once again for being here. Thank you so much.